To really make this a production-ready t-shirt, we'll need to add some top stitching. Start by going over to the object browser and switching to our stitching panel. We have a default top stitch, which is usually the basic single needle. But I'd rather have a more true-to-life cover stitch look, so we'll need to change our presets. First, you can double-click on the name and change it to double needle. Then, we can move into the property editor to make some changes. You can change the type to texture. Set the offset at 0 inches so that it lays exactly on the lines we've already created. And since this is a double needle stitch, change the stitch count to 2. You can check the boxes for use same specifications and use same material if you want to keep both stitch lines the same. But I'll show you the manual way to do so shortly, so we'll skip over that for now and move down to our specifications. We'll lower the SPI, or stitch per inch, to 10. And under materials, we'll make the thread type shiny instead of matte. And for color contrast, let's have some fun and make our top stitching our signature purple. Okay, that's basically it for stitch line 1. Let's switch over to line 2 now in our property editor. Our presets start off the same, but there's one major change you'll need to make here. Your distance this time is from your last stitch line, so instead of 0 inches, we'll do 1/8 of an inch for now, and see if we need to alter that down the line. Everything else from SPI to color can stay the same from here, unless you want to intentionally do something different. But just to repeat what I said earlier, you can skip all of this simply by selecting the Use Same options under Stitch Count, but make sure to change that distance depending on what you're making. Okay, now let's try it out on our shirt by first selecting the top stitching tool and clicking once on our front neck internal line. It looks like our stitching is appearing on the wrong side of our stitch line here, so let's head over to our property editor, and under placement, you can check the box that says flip. Let's try it on the back neck. Let's move on to our hems. First, we'll get our sleeves here, the top internal line only. Looks like we'll need to flip that one in the property editor as well. Same thing. Flip it and you're good to go. Last but not least, we'll get our regular hems, and like the sleeve, click only on the top internal line. Since our patterns are still linked, you'll only have to do one side, front or back. Now, because we really want it to look like a cover stitch, we're going to need to add an overlock stitch on the interior of our garments to keep it as realistic as we possibly can. So while we're in the top stitch panel of our object browser, select the plus sign and rename your new stitch overlock. We'll start by making the same changes we made before. Offset 0. You can keep the stitch count at 1. We'll try an SPI of 18 this time. Fabric can be shiny. And we'll change our color to purple again. And most importantly, let's not forget to change the shape from custom to overlock. Now I'll select my facing edge, and for some reason I'm not really seeing a change. This prompts me to make some changes in my property editor, but the real issue is that I'm not looking at the front interior, but the back. Because once I do begin to place my top stitch on the back edge of my shirt, I do see it in the 3D window. So from there, I can change the color of my stitch and move on to my sleeve hems and my bottom opening. And that, for the most part, is the mystery of top stitching. However, one of the things I'm not loving about my hems here is how round they still look. To give them a pressing without using the steam tool, I'll select my fold line with my edit pattern tool, and in the property editor, I'll find the fold drop menu. There you'll find scales for fold strength and angle, but also fold rendering, which allows you to see how you're manipulating that fold in real time. You can check that box. Automatically you'll see some improvement, but let's see if we can play with it even more to better demo this feature. If I turn it all the way up, then hit simulate, it will look as if someone pulled a thread and turned your fold line all the way in. So all we really need to do in this case is turn fold rendering on to get the flat edge we want. We'll do that for our other sleeve, and then our bottom opening. And there you have it, a fully realized production ready tee.